Today's math lesson is lesson 6.6, Polygons, and this is a video to help parents and kids understand a little bit better. First, we're going to talk about the vocabulary for this unit. The first word, the vocabulary word we're going to talk about is polygon. Okay, and a polygon is basically a shape. Okay, the definition that Everyday Math gives is it talks about line segments connecting, so connecting line segments to each other. They connect at corners, and the line segments don't cross. So here's an example of a polygon. Okay, this is a hexagon I drew because it has 6 sides, but it's also a polygon. But this could also be a polygon. So if I just draw a shape with straight line segments that connect, alright, and they're all connecting here, and the line segments don't cross each other, then this would also be considered a polygon, even though I drew it in the shape of a letter M. This area in between is wide open. Okay, so that's a polygon. Now if I drew something that looked like this, though, this could not be a polygon, because look, those line segments crossed. So that wouldn't work. This would be no way. Okay, but these two are good examples of polygons. And the next word that we're going to talk about today is a regular polygon. Okay, you'll hear regular polygon. So a regular polygon is a shape where all the sides and all the angles are the same. So all the sides are the same. All sides and angles are the same. So these 4 sides are the same, and you can see I drew a square, so there's right angles here, and all 4 angles are the same. So if you look at that, you will notice this is a regular polygon. So this hexagon, if I had drawn it perfectly to be a perfect hexagon, this would also be a regular polygon, because all these sides would be equal and all of these angles would also be equal. Alright, that's a regular polygon. Now the next word, you have one more word, it says plane figures. Okay, now this does not mean little toy planes that you would play with. Okay, this doesn't mean an airplane that flies in the sky. It doesn't mean anything that has to do with like a little figure toy you would play with. This is a different math word that we use called plane figures. And when it talks about a plane, if you see the word plane in math, it usually means something flat. A flat, two-dimensional, I'm going to write 2D, so two-dimensional surface. It's just a flat surface. Okay, so the top of a table, for example, would be a plane. Okay, when we write here on a piece of paper, nothing pops out at us, so it's on a plane. Okay, you can draw things to look like they pop out at you. That's 3D when they do pop out. Alright, but this is flat 2D surface. So basically, plane figures are shapes that are two-dimensional. Okay, that are flat. So for example, this square is a flat shape. This hexagon is a flat shape. This letter M here that I drew as an example as a polygon is also a flat shape. So all of these things, a square, a hexagon, a letter M even, they're plane figures because they just exist only in one flat spot on a plane. I could pick the paper up and then now they're plane figures and the plane is tilted, but they're still on one plane. Just me picking the paper up didn't make the figures pop out, right? It didn't make them have any more dimensions, like 3-dimensional or something like that. So the only dimension it has is just the flat one. So that's called a plane figure. So these are important vocabulary words for us to be able to understand today's math lesson. Now, as far as our targets for today's lesson, as far as what we want you guys, the kids, to be able to learn, we want kids to be able to use points to name polygons. So for example, if we have some points here, like this, I'll make sure I draw it so everyone can see. here and here, let's say. Okay, and this is point A, B, C, D, and E. We want them, first of all, to be able to connect these pairs of points, just like we've been expecting with other shapes, such as triangles or quadrilaterals. We also expect the same thing, the same skill, which is connecting these points to create line segments with a straight edge. And another way to say straight edge is ruler. So I've created a polygon here, and with a straight edge. And we want the kids to be able to say, well, this is polygon, and pick a letter to start with, and go right around it, because the lines don't cross. So the name of the polygon can't cross either. So this is polygon A, B, C, D, E. B, C, D, E would be one name for this polygon. Another name for this polygon, let's say we want to start at letter D, and maybe this time I'll go counterclockwise. All right, I'll go to the right. Doesn't matter which direction, as long as you go to the next letter until you get back to the letter you started at. So I could say this is polygon D, C, B, A, E. So it goes right around without crossing any lines. And so these are some names of the polygons. And I could start at any letter and go in either direction as long as I go directly around. So we want kids to be able to see a polygon like this and say, oh, well, this one has 5 sides, so it's a pentagon. We want them to be able to identify it and then say the name of the polygon, so be able to recognize what the name of it is. We also want them to be able to look at how many sides the polygon has, and also how big the angles are, or how small the angles are. And we want them to be able to estimate the perimeter. We also want them to be able to estimate the perimeter of a polygon. Okay, so they could look at it and say, well, this is about 1.5 inches, or this is about 4 centimeters, this is about 2 centimeters, and then be able to kind of go around and add that up and say, well, this is about how big it is altogether. So those are the key things that we'd like kids to be able to do in this lesson, and that we're going to be working on. So ways that you can work on this at home, talk about different shapes that you have at home. Have kids draw different shapes. And if you could, just have them talk about what is it a regular polygon? Is it a plane figure? Is it a 2D shape that they found? Try to use this language when you're chatting a little bit about math. And maybe, have them give the shapes some names. Have them give the shapes some letter names, okay, and talk about what that might look like, what those names might actually be. Have them sketch it out and just use this vocabulary and help the kids and also your family become familiar with it. So this is lesson 6.6, Polygons, of grade 3 Everyday Math.